Hi there, I'm Adela and I'm living in Pretoria in South Africa. This is a knitting and crochet podcast. Although at the moment it seems that I'm knitting more than I'm crocheting, but I'm sure that that will change again. As I promised, this will be an episode mostly about my works in progress. As you can see down below, this is the YarnCreations Podcast, and I think it's episode 11. So let's get started. I finished one thing that I didn't even show on the podcast, and it really challenged me and it kept me busy for most of November. I did take a break every now and again and worked on some of my other projects, but I was really determined to get it finished because it took so much from me. I was afraid that if I put it down or put it aside, that I will not come back to it for a while. And while each one of the stitches was fresh in my mind, I wanted to complete it as soon as possible. And you have seen, I've shown it on my Facebook page and on Instagram, but it's a Blooming-brioche-kal, and the pattern is by Xandy. So it's all brioche. And the red is proper, I think what you call it, post box red. It's a beautiful red. And my camera on my phone just doesn't want to capture it. And the other side is black. So it was a knit along, and it was released in 3 parts. And in the beginning, it was I was challenged by these. It's a decrease, but you do it on the other side. You do it on the dark side. You do the decrease, and the black yarn was a bit challenging to do those decreases in, because if you drop a stitch, you don't often see it immediately. So I did all these decreases. I did it very slowly, and I went back and looked at to see if I didn't drop a stitch, and sometimes I had to think back, and then in that process I dropped the stitch. So this was really quite a challenging project for me, but I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I really wanted to do it, to learn all those stitches. And Xandy, I think she's also called on Rivalry Saxa Rocks. She's got a YouTube channel, So I Make Stuff, I think, where she shows all her way of doing the decreases. It's an unwrapped decrease. So when you do it the way she shows you, you will not see any black stitches or dark color stitches in your decreases. So it's a little bit more difficult to do it that way for me. But at the end, you've got a beautiful result. So I was really happy to learn how to do that. But I think if I do brioche again, I might just do it the way that is described in the pattern, because I don't think most of the patterns do the unwrapped decrease. I think they just do the ordinary brioche decrease, and that is a little bit easier because you slip the stitches from from the one needle to the other needle, you don't change the sequence of the stitches that you do in her way of doing it. So, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm happy that it's finished. I used one-of-a-kind yarns. The pattern calls for a fingering, but I did it in one-of-a-kind yarns sock white merino, and I did the smaller size. I was very happy and very glad that I chose to do the smaller size. And the sock white yarn then made it larger. So when it was all soaked and blocked out, it's quite a nice size. So I'm happy. I'm really happy with the size. She's also got a very nice technique that she shows on her YouTube channel of how to do these kind of picot bind off. So you do in your last row in the dark color, you do increases. That's on her YouTube channel, so I'm not giving away anything of the pattern. You do increases in the dark color, and then you bind off in your light color or your right side color, and that gives this picot edge. That's quite beautiful. It looks like a little fan to me. So that is my Blooming-brioche-kal, which I am very happy that it is finally finished. So that's the only finished object I have, because that kept me quite busy since my last podcast episode. So what I want to show you now is a few projects that I'm busy with, and that will probably take me a while to finish. So first of all, last episode I showed you the open sky minis I got, and I started the unicorn stripe scarf that I showed you that I wanted to make in it, and I knitted a few of the colors. I think I was busy with the fourth color, and then 2 days ago I just decided that I don't think I want to do that with the minis. So I've ripped it all out. I frocked the whole what the piece that I was finished with, and now I am not sure yet what I'm going to do with that. So my whole idea of doing one color every day for December, that's not going to work anymore. But I decided that I really don't have to put any pressure on myself. I'm thinking a lot at the moment about what pressure I need in my life and what I don't need. And this might result in me not podcasting that often. The podcasting is something that I really want to do it, but to me it feels like I don't really know how to explain it. If 2 weeks pass, that's one thing I think about a lot. I have to do an episode. And I was just thinking that do I really need to put that pressure on myself? I'm all for slow living. I've started doing it. I've started aiming for that a few years back, and luckily I'm in a position at the moment that I can do that. I can try and do that. So things that is stressful for me, or that makes me unhappy. Not that podcasting is making me unhappy, not at all. I'm just talking in general. I try to avoid those kind of challenges. Let me put it like that. So that's why I thought the same thing, that's also true for when I knit a project, or when I start a project like this, the unicorn scarf I wanted to do, and I really wanted to, I was aiming for using one color a day for the whole of December and then have a scarf. But as I said, it didn't work out that way, and that's just how it's going to be. So I will, at my own time, decide what pattern I'm going to use for that, and then I will start. I want something mindless. I don't want something that I want to count and that think too much, and I will explain that to you now if I show you the other project I'm busy with. And because I finished the Blooming-brioche-kal, that took a lot of concentration from me. I really want the Open Sky Mini project to be something very relaxing and mindless, and a project that I can take with me. Because if you're busy with only the one mini, the one color, and you knit that up, and then you take the next one. So I think that might be a nice, easy, relaxing project. So I will have to reconsider that whole project. So the one project I'm busy with, that when I saw it, I was really very interested, and that's also again a very challenging project for me. But I think why I'm doing this is I don't work. I'm at home most of the time, and I feel that I need some projects in my life that keeps my brain stimulated. And I think this project is the ideal project for that, something that you really have to concentrate on, and stitches that are going in different directions, and it's all, I'm reading the chart, I'm not reading the written description, directions, I'm only working from the charts. So that is also challenging to me, and I think it's very good brain gym to do something like that, that keeps your brain very occupied. And I can't even listen to a podcast episode when I do that. I think that the only time I can do that is when I'm sitting quietly and there's no television, no podcast, no one to talk to. I have to really concentrate. I don't know if it's my age or what it is, but that's why I think this is something I really want to do. And let me tell you first what the project is. It's the Advent Scarf 2018. Here is what I have so far. There is one or two tiny mistakes in it, but as much as my OCD wants me to rip it all out and fix it, or ladder down, I know if I do that, I'm going to be discouraged, and I will probably stop this project. So because to ladder down for 20 rows will take me hours to fix. So I really don't think that and I think when you're busy with with that specific set of rows, you see the mistake, because you are concentrating on that little piece that you are busy with. But as the scarf grows, and I think when it's totally finished, you won't even, although you know exactly where you made the mistakes, you might not even find them that easily. So I will, that's why when I do the rows, I check that, for instance, my cable pattern is as it should be, because if there's a mistake in the cable, that will maybe be quite obvious. But a mistake in this little pattern here, a pull stitch when you should have done a knit stitch or something minor like that, I'm not going to try and fix that. So I'm really happy with the outcome. I do have to think back quite often or ladder down 2 rows for a stitch that if I see it and I see it's only 2 rows down, the mistake that I made, then I will ladder down those 2 or 3 rows and fix it. But if it's 20 rows down, I'm definitely not going to fix it. I'm using this stitch marker as a cable needle. I find a cable needle, the one that I've got, I haven't got the newer cable needles. I've got one of those old metallic ones, and it's too long and it's bothering me while I'm working with it. So what I do is I put my stitch on the stitch marker and do the stitches, knit the stitches that I have to, and then I put the stitches that's on my stitch marker back on the needle, and then I knit them. I've tried the other ways of pinching the stitches, but with superwash yarn, I don't think that is the best way to do cables, or not for me, because superwash yarn are too, there's no wool yarns that's not superwashed. They are a bit sticky, so the stitch doesn't become unraveled so easily. But with superwash yarns, I don't think that is the right answer for me. So the stitch marker are working quite well for me, and it's slow. Believe me, I was very slow with these, but I like it. It's the first time in years that I've done a cable, and this this form of kind of Celtic cable always appealed to me. So I really enjoy doing that. So this is, as I said, the Advent Scarf 2018. I will put all the info in the description box below, as I always do. I think her name is Tracy Weatherston. I will, and the pattern is free up to Christmas. I think it ends, the last part is the 24th of December, and then it will become a paid pattern. But till then, it's a free pattern. You just have to go and update your pattern every day when she adds that day's section. I'm about 5 or 6 days behind. I think I'm busy with the 1st of December, and today is the 6th of December. And I will probably do this up into January. I don't mind. I don't think I will be able to keep up, or even I know I'm not even going to try, because I'm very slow on this. But the result is amazing. I really like it, and I think when it's blocked, it will be a nice width. It's only 55 stitches, so when it is blocked, it will all open up like that, and it will definitely be wide enough for me. So to give you an idea, it started on, I think, the 24th of November, or the 23rd, there was a little starting section, and then from the 24th on, the row started at 1, I think. So to give you an idea, this is only from the 23rd, the little, I think that first section was the 23rd, and then the 24th started with a row 1. I'm only at I'm busy with the 1st of December and it's already this long, so it will really be long enough. I'm doing it in bar fiber art. It's a gorgeous 3-ply double knit. This is the yarn I'm doing it with. I've got 3 skeins. It's the color Mercury. I love this color. I really, really love it, and I've already asked Natasha if she gets this base again next year, if she will consider dyeing it up again, because it's really, I love it. So this is, as I said, 3-ply double knit. I started the scarf with a 4mm, like in the pattern, but then I saw that it's too loose. I think you're going to some of the I think it needs a little bit, it should be a little bit denser. That's what I felt. So I frocked it, and I started over with a 3.5mm, and I'm using my Knit Pro Symphonies, my ordinary Knit Pro Symphony needles, and it's got quite a sharp tip, which I think is absolutely necessary when you do a scarf like this, with all the crossed stitches and the decreases and shifting stitches. It's ideal to do it with a needle with a sharp tip. Definitely, I will definitely recommend that. So that's that. I'm really enjoying it, and as I said, I will just go on my own pace. Yeah, you can see also how beautiful yarn is. So it's a 3-ply twisted double knit weight, so there's, I think, 220 meters on a 100 gram skein. So that's my Advent Scarf 2018 that I'm really enjoying. And then another scarf I'm busy with. I've been busy with it for quite a while now. I started it for my workshops, and this is also a project that I don't work at it when I'm at home, because it's like this is a cute little bag that I got from Brilliant Mummy Bags from Eileen. I love this little bag. It's made out of a very traditional South African fabric called shwe, and they've got beautiful, beautiful prints. And I always wanted a little bag like this. It's so convenient, little drawstring bag. I love it. I really do. And Eileen, I think you should make more of them. They will be very popular. So I'm keeping it in this because it's nice and small, and I can just grab the bag when I go somewhere, and it's actually really mindless knitting. It's a corner-to-corner scarf I'm doing with 2 strands of lace with Linda's Treehouse lace weight that I'm using for my workshops. So I'm just doing some marling and color melting. I started here, I started in this corner here, and so you just increase at the beginning of each row until you've got the width. I think I've got 80 stitches, and then you decrease on one side, and you decrease at the start of one row, and then you increase at the start of the next row. So I'm just playing. I haven't got a recipe or anything. I'm just playing with odd pieces of the yarns that's left over from the workshops. So as you can see, I'm using 2 strands, and I'm just melting them, and I'm never if one of the yarns are finished, I just take another one, so I don't change both at the same time. And then sometimes I work with 3 yarns, So like, as I said in previous podcasts, like A and B and C and A and C. So I just alternate the three, 2 strands at a time, just playing with all the colors. And if I remember, I just knit in my little ends. So there's not, if you can try and remember and knit them in, if you've got 3 strands for say 10 stitches, you don't feel it, you don't see it. So if you knit it in like that, then you don't really have any ends to weave in, and you can after soaking and blocking, you can just cut them off. So I've got this. I got this from Scarpy. I ordered it online, and it protects my bamboo, my chula bamboo needles that I'm very so I don't want them to get damaged or broken. So I'm doing this with a 3.5, but the reason why I do this is because it's a garter stitch. If you soak and block it, which you have to do at some point with a scarf that you are wearing, if you don't do it after you've knitted it, at some point after a year or after a winter, when you've maybe worn it a few times, you might feel that you want to soak it quickly and then let it dry, and then what happens is it softens a lot and it might open a lot. So if you knit it with if your needle sizes are too big, then it will all stretch out a lot. The garter stitch, as you know, stretches out quite a lot. So I'm using my bamboo needles, my chula bamboo needles, and I just pop them in there, and then they are protected. You get, I think there's 3 of these in a package, and they are really nice and convenient. So I've got a bundle of colors here, and I'm using them all. I'm just going to try and grab most of them so that you can see. There they all are. All the colors of the rainbow. Very pretty. That's all from Linda's Treehouse, and it's a merino lace singles. So that's my corner to corner scarf that I just take with me when I need some mindless knitting. And then there's, if I can say it like that, there's 3 projects that I'm busy with that are related to each other. So I will start with the one where I started with that yarn to explain the whole concept, or explain what I'm doing with you. The one is also a knitted project, and it's the giant square scrap blanket. By Laura Beth Knits. It's a free pattern, and it's very mindless project as well. So I'm using one of a kind yarns, her 4-ply worsted. I will light worsted. I think that's the thickness. So the yarn weight. So I've done quite a lot so far. It's difficult to show it because it's on a circular needle, because you are just knitting in the round. I'm using my Knit Pro needles again. What's interesting is I started it with my lovable Chiagu needles, and I don't know, I can't explain it, but I experienced some pain in my hands. I don't know why, because I have knitted with a Chiagus a lot before, and I thought I will have to abandon the project. And then I decided to just change to the Knit Pro wooden needles and see what happens. And um, I don't experience that pain in my hands anymore. So I'm not sure why that is. I really don't know. And I bought extra cables to use because I wanted to do it with a chiagu because it's got the nice, thicker, strong cable. So I thought that when the blanket gets bigger, that will be ideal. So, but I can't knit it with the chiagus. I don't know why. So it's all on a circular, all, and the more it gets bundled up, the easier it is to knit. So I'm going to knit it on this the way it is at the moment for quite a while till I can't really. So it will be a little bucket. Because if you, what I do is I just add a cable with a cable connector that you can buy loose separately. So I just add another cable to the existing cables. And then you've got a lot of shifting to do around the blanket the whole time, or you have to do some sort of magic loop. So it's much easier if if your cables are not too long when you start this blanket, so that you can it can just bundle up and you don't have to maneuver the stitches all the time. But this is really nice and mindless because you've only got 2 increases every second row, and it makes a beautiful edge, beautiful line in the corners. And I started this with some minis I had from One of a Kind yarns in this 4-ply light worsted. And then what happened is there was 2 other projects that I wanted to do, and then I decided that minis will actually work well for the other projects. So I hijacked all the minis from this square blanket that I'm knitting, and I had to go and stash dye for other yarns to do this blanket in, to knit the blanket in. So I've got a lot of 50-gram skeins. I just want to grab the bag. I've got a lot of 50-gram skeins like this from One of a Kind yarns. And they work well for this blanket. So I'm using them, and I've got little, odd little yarn cakes that I've used in other projects that was leftovers. And so this is some of the minis that I'm not using in the other project, or I did use it for one of them. I'll show you just now, but I finished using it there, so when there's leftover, it also goes in this little bag, and I will use it for my scrappy square blanket that I'm knitting. So that is that, and this is in a lovely bag that I got from a very special friend of mine. That's full of little decorations, little birdie she crocheted for me, and flowers she crocheted for me, and a pins she did. I'm not sure, I can't remember. I think that's one. That one was made by me. She also put these on at the back. These, I think those 2 I crocheted, the little rose. I crocheted lots of these roses when I started crocheting. And there's also a little badge from my friend. So this is a special, it's a lovely bag. I use it a lot for a project like this. So now I will show you the 2 projects that the minis were hijacked for. The one is mitered square squares that I'm making. Let's just see where it starts so that I can show you properly. I think I started with this block, yeah. And then you do 3 that way, and then you add 3 again, and then another 3. And this idea, this layout I got from Kay Jones. She knitted a mitered square blanket that's done this way, with the 9 squares and then with a log cabin border. And there's a free tutorial by Betsymakes that you can go and look up if you want to do crochet mitered squares. She shows you very well how to do that. So why I wanted to do these squares is because it's a light worsted, as I said. So when the blanket gets bigger and bigger as you add the squares, it's going to be a very heavy and warm blanket on your lap. And after each row, after you've done the one row, you have to turn and then you do the other. So if you've got a lot of squares in your blanket already and you have to turn it all the time, it's going to be very uncomfortable for me. So that's why I decided to do 9 by 9 squares, and I will do all the squares and then I will decide how I'm going to join them. So some of these yarns are those minis that I hijacked from the Giant Square Scrap Blanket, and some of them are the 50 gram skeins that I'm also using in the blanket. So when I'm finished with them in this for this project, they can all go into that bag and be added to that blanket. So that's why I said all these projects are connected to each other. So I've got 3 squares at the moment. Here's another one. Just want to see where I started with this one, I think. So what I'm trying to do is not too strict with it, but I'm trying to have a color theme on each block. So this those two are more like they've got some pink in them, and this one's got blues and greens and turquoises. Just see where I started. Started with this one here. Shows up very nice on the. See, this is the colors that my phone camera likes. It doesn't like red. So I've got 3 squares. That's what I've got at the moment. So I'm busy with the 4th one, and I really want to go back to it. Okay, and then for the border, I'm using African Expressions Harmony. It's a little bit thicker, but that doesn't bother me at all. And I'm just doing, I'm trying to, I tried lots of stitches, and this is a single crochet. So in the first row, you just single crochet, you do one side at a time as when you do a log cabin. And then from this, I'm doing 5 rows. And from the 2nd row onwards, I'm only doing a single crochet through the front loop. So when the side that's facing me, the front loop nearest to me, that's the one that I'm working with, the top front loop of the previous row. I'm only doing the single crochets in them. So that's what give this that because it's a thicker yarn, it doesn't give a thick border around the blanket, around the squares. So I really like the result a lot. So this project really makes me happy. And the other project that I'm using the same yarns for, I'm doing the two projects with exactly the same yarn, is the Polkadot blanket by Little Woolie. It's a free pattern on her blog. Just if you go and look at it, she's got a newer version of the square. When she did the first blanket, she gave the pattern on her blog, but then she changed it a little bit. So there's a newer version that I think is better, but I'm still changing it and doing it my way. So this is the squares. This is the green that's went into the square basket. So this is the squares I'm doing with all the yarns that I've got. I'm only doing about 2 dots with each, and then I'm using Adele's Mohair 4-ply, it's the same base for the squaring. So the squaring is my own. It's a little changed from the one that Little Willie's got, and then I'm doing 1 round less for the Polkadot. And that also making me very happy. So I'm using the same yarns for all 3 of these projects. So the yarns that when I'm finished with the yarns and I'm not going to use them anymore for the polka dots and the mitered squares, they will go into the scrap blanket. So they are all using the same yarns. So that is what I'm busy with at the moment, and I think that's quite a lot of talking, and the projects that I showed you will probably keep me busy for a while. I've got other works in progress as well, but I'm not working on them at the moment. I want to concentrate on a few, and then when they're finished, I will take some of the other works in progress and work on them again. So that is that for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I might not see you again for the remainder of December because everybody's at home and it's busy and in and out, so there's not a lot of quiet me time that I can do a podcast in. And as I said, I don't want to put any pressure on myself, so when I feel there's an opportunity and everything is in place, I will do one. I'm going to be more relaxed and I'm going to just upload this video. I'm not going to take hours to try and edit and put things in front and the back and whatever. I will just do all the info in the description box below and just upload it like that. So slow living. I hope you can also try and do some slow living this December, and have a lovely Christmas and enjoy your knitting and crochet time. Bye.